Hello everyone, this is Vats with a casual gaming review of Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition. And yes, casual, not professional. I'm definitely not a professional. I'm just a dude that put a ton of hours into this game. I'm gonna give you some background information on this game in case you're not familiar with it, then share my thoughts on it, and finally, score it up at the end. Now, Fallout 4 was first released on November 10th of 2015 for PC, Xbox, and PS4. And then the Game of the Year edition was released nearly 2 years later on September 26 of 2017. The Game of the Year edition contained the 6 DLCs for Fallout, and those 6 DLCs were Automatron, Wasteland Workshop, Far Harbor, Contraptions Workshop, Vault-Tec Workshop, and Nuka-World. Not only did they come with things like new missions, items, and weapons, but Far Harbor and Nuka-World added entire new maps to explore. Now, for those of you that have never played a Fallout game before, it's an RPG franchise, with Fallout 3 being the first in the series to be open world, and the game gives you the option to play in first or third person view. Fallout 4 is very much like its numerical predecessor in that it's set years in the future after a great nuclear war has driven most people underground to wait out the nuclear fallout, and then emerge to find the wasteland inhabited by mutated beasts, ghouls, raiders, and everyone's favorite, super mutants. The player will also come across many rebuilt settlements run by humans that either emerged from their vaults sooner or somehow survived the bombs in other ways. You'll be able to enter and explore buildings, tunnels, and other vaults while collecting all sorts of loots to better your character or sell to vendors for currency in order to buy better gear instead. The series has a retro future theme, hence the background music I've chosen, where the ideal life of the past has never evolved, although technology advanced at an accelerated rate. So you'll see things like fedoras and tube-style TVs and computer monitors, alongside robots and laser weapons that can turn people to dust. The bread and butter of the Fallout series, however, is player choice. Want to be a total jerk to everyone? No problem. You can choose to do that in every interaction. Want to be the good guy that everybody likes? Why would you want to do that? Okay, fine, you can do that too. And most of the time you'll actually find that the nice or diplomatic options will cause fewer problems for you down the line. But just having all those options available and the fact that they will lead to completely different outcomes is why players gravitate to Fallout. And Fallout 4 is no different. The story sees the player wake up from a cryogenic sleep inside one of the vaults to find that his baby son has gone missing, and so they set forth on a journey to find him. And you can either convince people to give you information on the whereabouts of your son, or you can go and beat it out of them. The choice is yours. So let's talk about the technical aspects of Fallout 4. The setting of Fallout 4 is in an area called the Commonwealth, or what was known as Boston before the Great War, and the attention to detail regarding Boston landmarks and cultural aspects of the area are really amazing, even for players who have never actually been to the real city. See something of note in the game? A quick online search will fill you in on the real thing, and actually baffle you as to how accurate its representation is. Of course, it's going to be a futuristic, dilapidated version of the real thing, but the significance is still there. The best example that I found was Fenway Park, which had been turned into a hub for trading called Diamond City. Fallout 4 also has amazing sound effects and very competent voice acting. It's the first game in the series to have a fully voiced player character, which includes both female and male options. The art and the grim scenery are amazing to look at, although the graphic quality and fluidity are probably the game's weakest aspects. Npc movement probably bothers me the most, as enemies and allies will bob around unrealistically. Their limbs, especially their legs, move in disturbing and unnatural ways. A choppy frame rate and momentary freezes are also commonplace in Fallout 4, although they can be somewhat forgiven given just how big the areas are, especially the outdoors. I also encountered occasional crashes, but mostly while playing the DLC. Although it was rare, certain times there were items or NPCs that also fell through the map, and it even happened to myself once. Near the end of my time with Fallout 4, the game was also starting to suffer from input lag as well. Next up, let's talk about the gameplay. Fallout 4 is a creative story and is filled with numerous inventive missions. Things get especially interesting when it comes to the backstories of the locations that you visit. Although it's usually unnecessary to the success of your missions, you can sometimes access terminals which will fill you in on the failed experiments or the downfall of the people whom previously occupied the area you're in. It adds a lot of atmosphere if you really want to immerse yourself within the lore of each mission. Sometimes you can even avoid combat in certain situations by passing a speech check to convince someone to choose a diplomatic solution, or you can just eliminate everyone and worry about your reward later. Combat is made easy using the Vats system, which slows down time and allows you to choose a specific body part of an enemy to fire at, while showing you the odds of a successful hit. It's not always guaranteed and its uses are limited, so you still do have to do most of the aiming and shooting yourself. Speaking of which, there are countless weapons to buy, find, customize, and upgrade. Everything from shotguns to baseball grenades. There's also a lot of armor and apparel to outfit your character in, and you'll want to hunt down yourself a suit of power armor fairly early on to make your survival much easier in the Wastelands, especially when venturing into radiated areas. Now let's talk about the fun factor and lasting appeal. Including the DLC, you must have put over 100 hours into this game, and I was having a great time. The main storyline had my attention all the way through. I wasn't quite as invested into a lot of the side quests though, even the ones with multiple missions. Some of them just strayed too far away from the main story and therefore didn't make any sense as to why my character would waste their time with them instead of continuing to look for their kid. But all sensibilities aside, the side missions were useful for leveling your character and obtaining additional rewards. In conclusion, there's a vast world to traverse in Fallout 4, and when taking into account all the interior areas, you'll be exploring the Commonwealth Wastelands for hundreds of hours, and that's before you start a new playthrough in order to experience the game's multiple endings. And most importantly, you're gonna have a blast doing it. No pun intended. I'm gonna give Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition a total of 9 bobbleheads out of 10. Whether you've played it or not, let me know what you think about Fallout 4 in the comments down below. Well, that about wraps it up for this review. If you did like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. And as always, take care of yourself and do what makes you happy.
Asshole!